Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on YouTube? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Been a while since I talked to you guys. Been a while since I've made a video. I've been kind of busy lately, but I wanted to get something out there. I happened to see this article on studyfinds.org. I really like this site. If you guys, if you have some type of business, if you are a content creator, if you got a YouTube channel, this is a great source to kind of see what topics are trending, what people are thinking. And they have studies for everything, health, business, money. And I thought this one was kind of interesting. This one's titled Hard Times. 7 in 10 Americans say they're living paycheck to paycheck now. And so we're going to take a read of this article. I did want to kind of use this article as a basis to kind of talk about some of the things going on in the world right now, why it's more important now than ever to get a side hustle going, to create some source of passive income or some source of ancillary income. One thing that came out of this study that was interesting at the bottom of this study, and we'll take a read, we'll take a look, but at the bottom of this study, they asked people, what do you give credit to for being financially secure? And I believe 52% of people, 52%, 53% of people said having some source of ancillary income is what makes them feel financially secure. So, maybe they're an Etsy seller, maybe they're an eBay seller, maybe they're an Amazon seller, maybe they have some type of little side hustle, maybe they're staking cryptocurrency. But 52% of people, the reason they feel financially secure is because they have some form of income outside of their job. And so I think it's now more important than ever to have some type of income out of your job. Another thing, you guys have seen the out of control inflation that we're facing. The government obviously lies to us about this. In 2020, inflation was transitory. It's going to go away by the end of 2020. In 2021, inflation is still transitory. It's going to be gone by the end of 2021. Then inflation isn't transitory, and we're going to be dealing with inflation through 2022. And at this point, they're telling us that inflation is here to stay. It's definitely not going to correct itself before 2023. And obviously, they keep kind of moving the goalposts. Things keep getting worse. We continue to print money. We're sending all this money over to Ukraine. I don't want to get into the whole Ukraine thing. I support the people of Ukraine and Russia, but the idea that Ukraine is this, utopian great place. Zelensky and all his cabinet members were in the Panama Papers. He's used the country's money to buy luxury real estate in London. I think he's got 1.2 billion of the Ukrainian country's money in an offshore account. Ukraine is an oligarchy just like Russia. Most of I can't say the word on YouTube, but most of the CP comes out of Ukraine. Ukraine has a huge, teenage prostitution problem. Ukraine is not this utopian society of democracy that's so wonderful. And there's a lot of propaganda. People are really being misled about this whole thing. But we're sending all this money over to Ukraine. I think part of Biden's Build Back Better plan, he wants to spend $6 billion sending a female and a person of color to the moon. We could dive into conspiracy theories. I'm not necessarily decided either way, but I don't necessarily think a white person has been to the moon. I don't know that I necessarily buy into the whole moon landing thing. But at the very least, at this point, we've been to the moon. At least that's what we're told. There's really no resources there. There's nothing that we need there. So really, like, sending a woman and a person of color to space is just really kind of a woke way of kind of shaking our dick. That doesn't really accomplish anything, but that's $6 billion more. We continue to print money. The government denied that the stimulus and all the money that was wasted on the PPP program was the reason for inflation, but now they've at least acknowledged that it's a significant reason for the inflation that we're facing right now. Earlier they tried to play it off on supply chain shortages. No, it's inflation. We're printing money like crazy. And I know Biden and the White House want to call this the Putin price hike, but all of this was underway long before Putin invaded Ukraine. Another interesting stat I heard the other day, having a brain fart. Oh, the government is telling you that due to this inflation, your cost of living per year is going to go up anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. And that's just, buying gas, buying food, buying groceries, your rent, daily cost of living things. And when we look at an article like this that says 7 in 10 Americans say they're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're living paycheck to paycheck now and, the cost of living is going to go up $3,000 to $5,000. And again, we know the government lies about the rate of inflation and how long inflation is going to last. We have to assume that they're also understating the amount that your cost of living is going to go up. If 7 in 10 Americans are living check to check now, and 2022 is going to cost them $3,000 to $5,000 more to live, a lot of people are in a lot of trouble. If you want to be more financially secure, there's basically 2 ways of doing it. You can either spend less money, you can make more money, or you can do both. And I'm a big fan of doing both. I'm a big fan of living under your means, living beneath your means, not letting lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep take over. I don't know if you guys are fans of Graham Stephan or not. I used to like him. I'm not a huge fan of his channel necessarily. But he does put out good stuff. He puts out good content. And I saw Dave Ramsey was actually talking about Graham Stephan the other day. I thought, there's kind of an example of the student surpassing the teacher, so to speak. Because I know Graham Stephan is a fan of Dave Ramsey. And one of the things that they talked about, I think they were kind of commentating on a Graham Stephan interview, and he said kind of the 2 best things that he's done for his financial situation is getting involved in real estate. But then he actually corrected himself and he said, no, it's living beneath my means. And even when he was making $1 million plus on YouTube and through real estate, he was still living in an 800 square foot duplex, doing the house hacking thing. So he says the best thing he's ever done is to live beneath his means. Now, again, when it comes to financial security, you can either spend less money or make more money. I'm a big fan of spending less money. However, at some point, you can only cut so much, whereas your potential upside from earning more is endless. So I do like to focus more on earning more money than trying to scrimp and save as much as you can, though I do think we should all be doing that. I guess part of the message of this video is we're likely in for very tough times. I know a lot of people have been struggling in recent years, but if you look at it, pretty much following the 2008 crash, we've had a historic rise in real estate prices, the stock market, everything else. It's been kind of a fucked up economy, but nonetheless, it's been a booming economy. And so if you haven't been able to get ahead in the past 10 years when the S&P 500 is going up 33% a year, you're kind of fucked when the economy takes a downturn. Everything's costing more money. Stocks are trading sideways or even going down. We wind up entering a recession where jobs are harder to find. People aren't going to be getting paid as much. We had this nice period of time where the power dynamic kind of shifted and workers and employees kind of had more power. They were able to demand the ability to work remotely, more flexible schedules, a better work-life balance, better pay, better benefits. But I think as the economy turns and heads south, that power dynamic is going to shift back to employers. I guess I could ramble on for a while longer, but let's hop in and kind of give this article a read. One other stat or study I wanted to point out, I think we actually covered this in a video, but not too long ago, we actually discussed how millennials earning over $100,000 a year, it was like 6 in 10 were still living paycheck to paycheck. And I mean, I get that there's some very expensive areas of the country. If you're living in Oregon, Washington, California, Manhattan, 6 figures may not seem like that much. But outside of some of the most expensive cost of living areas in the country, outside of some of those areas, there's really no excuse to be making 6 figures and still living check to check. So I guess the good news about this is, at least for the people who have a decent income or a high income, they can kind of change their behaviors and kind of put themselves in a better situation. I think maybe at the end of this video, we'll give a couple tips about frugality and living cheaper, and a couple little tips or tidbits about how you can make some extra money. One of my cousins, I've talked about her before, she's a teacher, she's got 2 kids. She kind of started dabbling with selling on Etsy and Poshmark and Mercari and some of those sites back during the height of the pandemic, when she was working from home and schools were out for a while. And she did well. She was making a couple $100 a week right off the bat. Then she kind of got frustrated, gave it up, came back to it. She kind of went in and out of it a couple times, but I saw her the other day and she was telling me, in the past like 8 days, I've made $2,600. And she's just going to Goodwill, buying things right off the rack and selling those things on Poshmark. Obviously, she kind of knows what brands sell, what brands to look out for. And honestly, I don't know how she's doing it. I'm not a big Goodwill shopper, but normally when I go to Goodwill over the past couple of years, I felt like they've kind of jacked up their prices. I think Goodwill is kind of catching on to the fact of what brands are hot, and that they can set up their own eBay accounts and get 3, 4, 5, 6 times what a lot of times they would sell something for off the rack. But nonetheless, my cousin seems to be finding these deals. She sent me something the other day. I forget if it was a purse or a pair of jeans, but she bought it for like $2 at Goodwill, turned around and flipped it for like $56 on Poshmark. So she's doing pretty well with that. I met another guy recently who's running meme pages. It's not a full-time income. He's not making a killing, but he's able to squeeze out a couple $100 a week. And he was kind of running me through the whole process. I asked him some questions, and it seemed pretty easy. That's something I did like way back in the day, in like 2015. It kind of seemed like a lot of effort without necessarily a huge return or a lot of upside. But that's another thing you could do. So this article is titled "Hard Times, 7 in 10 Americans Say They're Living Paycheck to Paycheck Now." In these tough financial times, a new study finds it's getting harder and harder for people to save any of their money. In fact, 7 in 10 Americans say they're living paycheck to paycheck. A recent survey of 2007 adults found that 63% didn't see themselves reaching a level of financial security that will allow them to live the lifestyle they want. A lack of financial education and resources may be to blame, particularly for women who are less likely to say they had access to these tools in comparison to men, 65% versus 84%. What does financial comfort really look like? To educate themselves en route to financial comfort, most turn to social media, 45%, their family, 44%, or online media such as financial news websites. And I would say outside of family, both of these places are kind of terrible places to learn your financial behavior. The media, which is financial news websites, as well as social media, is basically all about consumerism and kind of dumbing people down and making them spend more money. So if that's where people are learning about money, probably not a great idea. Conducted on November 22nd, 2021 by One Poll on behalf of AmeriLife, the survey also explored the necessities for financial peace and peace of mind among different groups. While most women noted the absence of a credit card, 59%, as the most important requirement for financial comfort, the majority of men think it's homeownership, 58%. Kind of an interesting trick. I don't know if any of you guys want to try this. I do think it's probably not a bad idea to have a credit card. It helps build your credit. And worst case scenario, if you ever fall upon some emergency where you absolutely need it, having a credit card to pay a medical bill or do a car repair that you need to be able to get to work is kind of a good thing. But I have seen people who actually freeze their credit card in a block of ice, and you're probably not going to thaw out that credit card to go buy a pair of jeans, whereas if your transmission goes out and you truly need it, you probably will thaw it out. So there's a little life hack for you. Savings is the key to financial stability. Respondents also differed in what they consider to be less essential for financial wellness. 79% of Americans earning over $150,000 found a savings account to be very important, compared to just 54% of those with an income from $60,000 to $89,999. On average, respondents feel like they need $686 of disposable income per month to feel financially comfortable, and I think that's a good amount, right? If you got $700 a month, every 3 months you're able to put away you're able to put away $2,100, and I think that puts you in a situation to not only be comfortable and have a cushion, but also sustain an emergency, and then within a few months be able to kind of build that emergency fund back up in case you wind up facing 2 back-to-back emergencies. Okay, so we talked about that. Here's a little infographic. 7 in 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. 63% don't think they'll be able to reach a level of financial security to live the lifestyle they want. Lack of financial education and resources to blame. Only 65% of women say they had access to financial resources, compared to 84% of men. When it comes to retirement, the average American plans to start thinking about it at 40 years of age. However, 7 in 10 confess their understanding of personal financial comfort kept changing after they reached adulthood. And I think that's a troubling stat in and of itself. You should start saving for retirement well before 40. Really, as soon as you get your first job, you should start putting away 10% towards retirement, ideally 15%. But the idea that 7 out of 10 people aren't going to even bother thinking about this until they hit age 40 is kind of scary. Things don't always go according to plan. No matter your income, having a budget is key, says Denny Southern, president of Annuities and Retirement Planning for AmeriLife, in a statement. If possible, a person should have 6 months of expenses readily available in savings. That would be an emergency fund. Once they achieve this, they can then target 30% of their income for things they want and the remaining 20% for their savings. The earlier a person can do this, the further it will take them towards a comfortable retirement. Overcoming financial hurdles, 76% of millennials are likely to say that at some point in their adult life, a personal healthcare related bill caused them to spend a large chunk of their savings. They also noted that keeping up with healthcare related bills has derailed them from making other payments, 70%, more so than any other age group. And I'm surprised they haven't talked about student loans. That's a huge problem. You guys probably saw the news yesterday. Biden extended the student loan moratorium once more because of COVID. The funny thing is COVID is pretty much gone. All the COVID testing centers have closed down. My grandma was in the hospital last week and I went and visited her. I was talking to one of the nurses and she said they only have 4 COVID patients in the entire hospital. The COVID testing sites have shut down. I mean, short of wearing masks in hospitals, which I think is a policy in most places, and masks on airlines, which are going to expire April 18th, COVID is pretty much done with. So the idea that we have to extend the student loan moratorium because of quote unquote COVID is kind of silly to me. I also think it's kind of funny that Biden says we have a booming economy, yet we're having to suspend student loan payments. Obviously, politicians are cowards, right? Like I saw Bernie Sanders the other day tweeting, end student loans. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see a lot of people on Twitter were attacking him and being like, hey, motherfucker, you're a legislator. Like, you're the person in a position to do this. What the fuck are you tweeting about it for? And I saw some other people said, like, I'd love to have a job with health care for life. I don't do shit. Part-time job, $174,000 a year, and I get to tweet all day. Legislators don't want to legislate. They want to tweet, and rather than actually maybe making an unpopular decision and doing something, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily in favor of forgiving student loans, right? I think it's unfair that people who went to college responsibly, went to community college first, went to a cheaper state school, and worked through college to pay their bills, they have to pay their bills, yet the guy who got a degree in basket weaving from some expensive school or Arizona State because they had a pool and has $150,000 in debt, he gets to skate even though he made, not smart decisions. I also think unless we actually kind of fix the college system, stop sending people to get useless degrees, bring down the cost of college, I think forgiving student loans is kind of pointless because we're just going to wind up in the same position 2, 3, 5 years down the road unless the root of the problem is actually fixed. But yeah, student loans are a huge issue for a lot of people. Regardless of age, the vast majority of Americans, 82%, believe that financial comfort is important to their mental and emotional well-being. I believe there's some stat, I think when you're making $72,000 or $75,000 a year, at that point, it's generally considered that you're comfortable, and making more money than that won't necessarily increase your level of happiness or security. It's important to know how to offset costs of both planned and unforeseen events, adds Frank Tabani, president of career agency Distribution for AmeriLife. It's not surprising to note, however, and unfortunately, that only 3 in 10 respondents use financial advisors as a resource to educate themselves to attain financial comfort. You don't need a financial advisor. You can dollar cost average into an ETF or an index fund that encapsulates a lot of the market. You're diversified. It's a pretty simple and easy thing to do, and you don't need to pay a financial advisor. Though if you do want some advice or some hand-holding, obviously there's services like Wealthfront and Betterment that are essentially robo-advisors and are very, very affordable. Essentials for financial comfort. Having no credit card, 57% of people attributed that to their level, to having a good level of financial comfort. Having a good credit score, 54%. Home ownership, 53%. That's something that's getting outside of the reach of more and more people day by day. Residual ancillary income. So that would be side hustles, passive income, investing, other things like that. 52% of respondents said that having some type of residual passive income side hustle is why they're financially comfortable. And it was one of my big takeaways from this article. Savings account and a rainy day fund, 52%, and being able to retire, 51%. I don't think we have any comments here. But anyhow, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Hard times. 7 in 10 Americans say they're now living paycheck to paycheck. I thought this article was kind of interesting. I thought it showed the importance of a side hustle. And then just really briefly, because I do got to run, in terms of being more frugal, don't let yourself through friends or peer pressure be pressured into doing things or living a life that you can't afford to live. I do think it's important to kind of find a group of friends who, if you can't afford to go out to dinner all the time or go out to a club all the time, find a group of friends who are cool drinking at home or pre-gaming or having dinner parties instead of going out to expensive restaurants. Over the past couple of years with the labor shortages and everything, the cost of eating out has gone up. The experience has gone down in quality. It's just not worth it. Learn how to cook, start making some stuff at home, do your grocery shop. And one thing that I've been doing even just the past couple weeks, I gave up coffee out for Lent. It's not going to save me a fortune, but I think it's going to save me $100 plus a month. And I really don't miss it at all. In terms of side hustles, selling on eBay, selling on Amazon, set up a Fiverr account. Even if you don't think you have any skills, I guarantee you there's some type of skill that you could sell on Fiverr. So focus on making more money, spending less money. I got to get running, so we're going to cut this video off at this point. I do have a couple other kind of interesting studies I thought we might cover in video, so maybe we'll do that in some future videos over the next week or two. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys have any thoughts or comments on this article or anything we've discussed today, drop it in the comment section below. If you're not subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button down below and ring the bell. And that's all I got for you guys today, guys. Rules for Rebels signing out. Peace.